Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request. This time for Lucas, who wanted me to do a commentary on another 2003 Ninja Turtles episode. This time, Tales of Leo, which is actually the follow-up to the Shredder Strikes Back Part 2. So at the end of that, I'm like, describe what's going to happen next, and I forgot this was the next one. But Lucas, thank you for your generosity. Thank you to all who have sent in requests. If anyone wants to send in pretty much any type of paid requests, a commentary, topic, randomness, reaction, review, re-review, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is, Tales of Leo. So let's get into it. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. Now, because this is a recap of what happened the last couple episodes, which I guess, and I'm not sure if they really do this nowadays since everything's streaming, so you could just watch it one after the other. So I don't know if there's any reason for recaps now, but back then that wasn't the case. So it explains that Leo got beat up through the window, this big battle, which Shredder Strikes Back Part 2 is pretty much one giant battle between the Turtles, Casey, and Shredder the Foot Clan. Because Shredder thinks he killed them, didn't happen, they're hiding there, we don't find out just how they got out of it before the shop and the building blew up. This is where you're going to get introduced to the farmhouse, which is a in the Turtles lore. You even had that in the 1990 movie, only it was Raphael in the coma, while this would be Leo, like it was in the comic books. And I believe it belongs to the Casey's grandma or something, I forget. But I want to say it's Northampton, the location. I could be wrong. This is pretty much going to be sort of the Turtles recuperating. They tell stories of Leo when they were kids, each one, while Leo is healing up. So it's nice you get episodes that go a little bit deeper to the characters, as much as you can in a 20-minute cartoon. It still is meant to be a cartoon for kids to have fun, and yes, a portion of it is to try to sell toys and merchandise, but I do think they put more heart and merit into this. I really do. And it's just a shame that nobody really talks about this show. There's no documentary, there's no making of, there's no official release on, Blu-ray. The DVDs, they're like 3 episodes, 3 episodes per disc, and way back in the day, which I bought them when they came out. I was working at Target at the time, at the retail store Target, and so you're stocking stuff. Oh wow, the new Turtles DVD coming, and then I would pick one up. I'd rather the fact it was stretched out to just 3 episodes a disc was a fucking ripoff. I knew it at the time, but I'm like, again, I'm such a big fan of the show. I will support it. Do the right thing. Here's how they get out. There was a vent, and Raphael was able to pry it out through the back. So you have the bad guys think they're dead, but they're actually out of it. Just like the 1990 movie, and before that, April loses her place. Yeah, Casey has the idea. Yeah, it is his grandma's farmhouse. But I like that. Like, they don't make April bitchy. She's not bitching about... I mean, she understandably would. But she's not just, oh, my place, my place. The first thing she thinks of is, I hope Leo is okay. Again, that gives merit and likability to the April O'Neil character. She's thinking about someone else above herself. Nowadays, with all this SJW and all the other agenda stuff, I guess somehow that means we have to be more selfish. What about me and me and me? It's like, well, care about others too, you know. And have it take place in the snow makes it a little bit of a different visual aesthetic. Yeah, hire John Wick, kill all these motherfuckers. See, that's what they need to do. Hire John Wick, kill all these motherfuckers, then the end of it. The Baba Yaga. And then, yeah, there's been the different types of Ninja Turtle comics as well. Not just cartoons and other stuff, but Baxter Stockman. Which always remind me a little bit of like a evil Miles Dyson from Terminator 2. And that was the thing with kind of the running, not even joke or gag, but the running thing is that each time you saw Stockman, he was more and more fucked up because of his failures. And like he would be losing an eye. Now he's got a nip brace, he lost a hand, and now he's in this glorified wheelchair. Then he kept messing up and he got to a point he was like a fucking brain in a jar. It's one of those things that if you watch it in continuity, it's one of those kind of grisly details that you might not catch right away. But it is like each time there's a failure, he's more and more physically punished. Off screen, of course, but just again, you get the idea. I look at Stockman now, like he's got an eye patch because his eye got blinded, and he's got a nip brace, and he's in a wheelchair. And lost a hand. I know later on there's a episode where Baxter Stockman tried to make a new body, but then it kept deteriorating and melting. And then in his like hallucinogenic, fucked up mind, because of that stuff, April O'Neil got confused with his mother, and it's a very weird like horror aspect of an idea, which I appreciate when they took little chances like that. Like there was an episode where this H.P. Lovecraft type of entity could get them trapped in these little cocoons, and they were these crazy nightmares, like Leonardo fighting a splinter stabbing Splinter with a sword, and you see the robe go like this, so you see that the sword penetrated. Raphael fighting Shredder, but it's really a version of himself. Kind of like the Star Wars where Luke went into the cave and thought it was Darth Vader, but when the helmet came off, it was another version of Luke. I mean, there's other ideas that they shit a little bit. I didn't hear is them telling, try to keep Leo in there each moment where Leo helped them out. And, well, I wouldn't say this is the first time we've seen the Turtles as kids. I believe in the 80s cartoon, there was an episode or two where they got turned into little kids. But this is one where it was an ongoing thing where you saw more of their story as kids, I should say. It shows that there was a life before now. Which is cool to see a little bit of the backstory between these characters. And each one gets their moments. And then there's another moment for Mighty to be serious. I know this also features one of my favorite Raphael moments, which would be coming up, where when he tells his story, and then he tears up, and then goes to the window, and that nice pullback to showcase the farm. It was, I think, a nice moment, character moment. Leo's pose kind of seems he's ready to do the crane kick from Karate Kid. Of course. Be right back. I'll pause. Be right back. Sorry about that. There'll be a little bit of edit here. I'm actually making something and it's supposed to take about 30 minutes in the oven, and this is 20 minutes. But I put the timer on a bit wrong, so that was my screw up. But the time is correct now, so yeah. Cooking some food. Well, by the time I'm recording this, it'll be Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to all. But I'll probably record it after Thanksgiving. So hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. But let's get back to it. I am at 10 minutes 18 seconds in, where a young Mighty is bothering a young Leo. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. Put the joke dad glasses on him. And yeah, Mighty does seem like the type of guy who doesn't like to be adored. He doesn't like to be he likes the attention. He loves getting attention from people. That's why he picks on Raphael all the time, because he'll give him the most attention. And that's like a nice little moment between the two that, wasn't an imperil type of thing. And then you have Raphael, the tough shell that, did a nice little detail. His eyes are tearing up. Again, it's just crazy. You have a cartoon that was on this channel, like, I wouldn't say, like, 4Kids TV was now like one of the more well-known animation companies, like Disney or something. They'd done other stuff at this time, and they published it, but it was more the writing team and the creatives behind this. That's the reason the show worked rather well. Especially, again, I think its first 4 seasons are the strongest. And it's one of those things where, as times went on, I think they wanted to keep the show going, but you had to be a little bit cheaper. And so, like, fast forward, hopefully they'll sell more toys, just as variations. It just is part of a business. But that's why it'd be nice to see these characters dealt with where you don't have to worry about toy sales. Of course, Raphael's the type of guy that would want to wrestle an alligator. I think when I first saw this, I thought, oh, maybe this is like where Leatherhead came from. Like, this is Leatherhead before he was mutated. But I also like the little detail with the turtles, like, with the bandana on, you just see their pupils, but then when they're adults, they have this white over their eyes, just like in the comic books. Then that's a good, nice moment. Nice, small, little, quiet moment for the characters. Humanize them a bit, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I prefer that. I appreciate that. Which you didn't have in the new live action films that Michael Bay produced. Like, the action scenes were not even that much of a worth of shit. There's barely any martial arts and something with ninja in the title. And the character, I don't know, just fucking bullshit. Of course, the Bastard Stopman had the Mousers. That was actually in the first episode of this show. It was Attack on the Mousers. It was them dealing with that. Like, what the fuck's going on? And then the second episode, you had April O'Neil. And that was one of the early issues of the comic books. Not the first one, but it was one of the early issues was them dealing with these Mousers. And that's also why it became one of the first primary deals in the 80s cartoon. That's why, again, I know it's off tangent, but the original Nintendo game, I never got that mad at it like other people. It was tough, it was challenging, but it didn't bother me that it didn't have certain elements because when that game was made, the cartoon was only around for a little bit. I think at that point you only had like maybe the little, I almost want to say mini-series. Because people may not realize the original 80s cartoon was not meant to be an ongoing thing. Some guy saw the original comic books and they went, huh, you know, if we made toys with this, we could maybe sell some stuff, make some money. Well, you know, how do we promote the toys? You know, the comic books are a bit more violent and gritty. So, yeah, let's do like a couple episodes of a cartoon. You know, I don't know how long it would be, like 4 or 5 perhaps at most. And then, that's why the season 1 DVD 80s cartoon was only like a handful of episodes. And then they said, well, you know, the turtles, they all have red. Well, we want people to buy some, so let's have different colored. Red, blue, purple, orange. So that kids would not seem like they're buying the same red banded turtle. Oh, that one's blue. That one's got orange. So what happens is they got that out there. It was humongously successful, and they went, wow, we're on to something, so they kept the series going. But that's why you looked at the original Nintendo game, that's why the cover of the game was a comic book cover, with the turtles with the 4 red bandanas. That's why you looked at the villains, it's only like the Mousers, the Shredder, the Technodrome, you know, elements that were featured mainly in those first couple episodes. Bebop, Rocksteady. It wasn't a ton of other stuff because not a lot of that show was made and produced by that time. So, again, just didn't bother me as much as other people. Of course, this whole deal with Leonardo having a fear of heights and overcoming it. Again, they don't make Leonardo perfect. Or like the 2007 CGI film, one of the issues I have with that movie is they made Leonardo such a hypocritical dickhead. Like in the movie, Raphael's doing all this stuff, but Leonardo's doing the same stuff in the jungle, but it's fine if Leo does it, but it's bad when Raph does it. I'm like, well, that's a bunch of hypocritical bullshit. But there you go. And it started a little bit of that love story between Casey and April. And then later on, there'll be stories on the farm as they're recuperating. And see, even the 2012 cartoon, I think, fucked that up because Leo's in this coma, and as soon as he wakes up, he gets into a fight and defeats the bad guy. I think like almost by himself. I think that's the one where Raphael just turned to a fucking flower in the 2012 cartoon. I'm like, oh my god. So you're telling me Raphael just turned to a fucking flower, but Leo, who just got out of a coma, is able to take on the bad guy better than Raphael. Again, Leo's been in a coma for a year, but he does better after... Not a year, it hasn't been a year. I forget how long. Not a year, that's too much. I forget how long. Sometime in a coma, but he did do better than Raphael does. I'm like, fuck this show. The first season of 2012 TMNT I could deal with. Half of season 2, but they got to a point I'm like, okay, something bugging me on this. And the last of that show was like a fucking ode to Mad Max Fury Road. At least Turtles Forever was a ending for its show and its characters. The ending for 2012 is like, let's reference Fury Road. I'm like, okay. It's like, anyway, going off tangent. I know a lot of people liked it. I like the first season and a half. After that, I just was bothered by it. Much more a fan of the show. And that will lead into the Return to New York, where pretty much the battle in Shredder, then you had a battle of Baxter Stockman. But yeah, that was Tales of Leo. Did a fun, nice, little episode detailing the little backstory of some of the turtles, being able to recuperate and relapse in between that and when they return to New York, which would be definitely a big, like, 3-part episode. That was another thing. It was nice that this was a show that actually would able to let the stories breathe, so sometimes it's in 2 or 3 parts. Maybe it wasn't always necessary, but it was nice to see that if they want to, let's let it breathe. We can't do it all in 20 minutes, so if 2 or 3 parts, so be it. So that was nice to see. So with that said, thanks for watching. I gotta edit this stuff together, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. Later.